Sometimes my thoughts just seem to go to another time. They don't stay grounded in the here and now. They either swing into the future or they sweep back into the past. Sometimes a sweep into the past has a sense of joy and happiness and remembering good things, and sometimes swing into the future feels like there's a lot of hope. But all too often, with my brain's negativity bias, and you've got that as well, the swing ends in either times when I feel anxious or I can feel depressed. And it seems to be that those times seem to dominate or cloud the day. Okay, they can really become um, quite oppressing on you. Uh, but to go through from depression to anxiety, from anxiety to depression, I found that you have to go through this place called now. And I have a little swing in my toolkit of illustrative life stories type things. And I often use this when I'm doing soul talk with people about anxiety and depression, and how we often swing into the future. I'll just turn it around here. Swing into the future, and our focus and attention and our mind goes into the future, and we hold it there long enough, and it becomes very tiring. We can become very, if we get very anxious about what happens in the future, potentially. Or we swing back into the past and we ruminate on the past events, and it's getting quite depressed, and that can be tiring as well. And hold it out long enough and strong enough, and the brain starts to say, "Oh, this is normal. This is home. Is there anything different? This feels quite normal to be in this place of dark depression or in this place of living on the edge or anxiety." And we kind of can form a grand canyon and grooves in our brain, so that if anything comes along our way, even ever so slightly good, it can just go into the Grand Canyon, and off we swing into either anxiety or depression. You see, but in between yesterday and tomorrow is always today. There's always now. And I want to be grounded in the now. And if we look at the model of the swing has to pass through a low arc where it comes close to being settled near the earth or being grounded. And look, I know swings can be fun, but do any of us actually want to live on a wild, out of control swing? No, we don't. We need to learn how to ground ourselves. And I've got three things I want to teach you about grounding your thoughts. Number one is know the truth of what is within your control and what is not. Look, we so often focus our minds, our attention on things that we have little to no control over. And over on the blog post, I've got a circles of control. The middle circle is the circle of my control, my thoughts, my feelings, my moods, my choices, my decisions. All that stuff is within my control. The next circle is the circle of influence, but outside of my control. I can influence these things, but actually, they're really not that in my control. So, my reputation, whether people like me or not, other people's feelings and thoughts about me, I can influence them, but they're actually out of my control. And then there's the outer circle, which is pretty much out of my control. I can't control the weather. Okay. I can't control um, the bus timetable. I might be able to influence if I write letters to the bus company. I can't control where I was born. I can't control the traffic. They're out of my control. So why do I spend so much time focused on those things? And a useful exercise is to make up a list of what has your focus and attention. And even just by doing this, it can create it's a tangible, tactile exercise. It can radically reduce your stress because you're taking it out of the ethereal soup, mind soup out there, into something quite earthy, tangible, ink and paper. And then to ask yourself about each of those items, is this within my control? is this outside of my control? How much influence do I have on this? How much influence do others have? The next thing I would suggest is to do is number 2, write the truth. I like to write in a little notebook the truth I need to tell my brain. You see, my brain has what I've said, a negativity bias. It always seems to take whatever information is received and it just slips into a Grand Canyon of negativity. Well, I can do. I have to change my brain. And Rick Hanson, he says this: your brain is continually looking for bad news. And some places like to give you bad news, don't they? Newspapers, social media, blah. And as soon as it finds it, he says, it fixates on it with tunnel vision, fast tracks it into memory storage, then reactivates it at the first hit of anything vaguely similar. But good news gets a kind of a neural shrug, whatever. In effect, I love this. The brain is like Velcro for negative experiences, but Teflon for positive ones. But you see, I want to train my brain so that it's Velcro for the positive and Teflon for the negative. And this takes work, takes practice, and it's a kind of a millimetre by millimetre ministry into the fabric of the brain. The third thing to do is to rehearse the truth. As much as an actor rehearses their lines and a musician practices their instrument, so we are to train our brains. So perhaps there are some truths that you need to rehearse into your brain's neural networks. I've got a few examples here. I am loved. I am held. I am known. As far as the east is from the west, the Lord has removed my transgressions from me. That's from a psalm. If God is for me, then I need to be for myself. Nothing can separate us from God's love. Nothing can separate me from God's love. That was then, this is now. I choose to live in the now. I'm responsible for my choices. Others are responsible for their choices. I'm not responsible for other people's choices. That's a big one. Just yesterday, I was giving a soul talk conversation. That's what I do. I talk to people online. With someone, and they shared how anxious they were about going to the doctor. So this is what we did. I asked them about what was within their control. And then I asked them about their experiences of going to the doctor. They told me about the doctor and how kind the doctor was. The doctor listened well. The doctor took their needs seriously, and she gave them wise, practical advice. I then suggested to her that she might get a piece of paper and a pen. Sometimes something I always do with people I talk to online, I say, have you got a piece of paper and a pen just to write these things down? So to remind yourself. So she wrote down these statements. My doctor listens well. Pen and paper, tangible, tactile. My doctor offers good practical advice. My doctor keeps my notes confidential. My doctor listens to me first before writing notes. The staff at the medical centre are always very caring and professional. Whenever I go to see my doctor, I come away feeling reassured and heard. Now, after she had written down these, she immediately felt better, less anxious, and more grounded. Her swing, as such, had come closer to the ground and become more settled. And what we did together was to give her brain reminders of truth. And I suggested that she actually read this list over and over again, rehearse it. I also just suggested she write down a list of positive truths into what I call a thinking compass, which is a little book. Tangible notebook of truth that needs to be rehearsed daily. Look, this is nothing new. Hey, we find this advice in the Bible. And Deuteronomy 11:18 says, you shall therefore lay up these words of mine in your heart, in your soul, and you shall bind them as a sign on your hand. They shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And that's what they used to do. They have little boxes of scriptures tied to their head. Well, I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying to do it regularly, daily. Speak truth into your life. Let not steadfast love and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Proverbs 3:3. Another proverb says this: My son, keep your father's commandment. Forsake not your mother's teaching. Bind them on your heart always. Tie them around your neck. Where you walk, they will lead you. When you lie down, they will watch over you. And when you wake, they will talk to you. Proverbs 6. Look, today I will literally have thousands of messages that want to bind themselves into my brain. Like I opened up my email this morning and boom, there are messages that want to bind stuff to my brain. Social media is like a storm of binding distractions. But I want to bind truth to my brain. Truth that will ground me and grow and not throw me into an anxiety or depression. I want to ground my thoughts in God. Hey, I've just released a course about the swing and about anxiety and depression. It is free. If you sign up to my email list, I will send you the links and I hope that it will help you. Hey, have a great day and tell yourself the truth. You are loved, you are held, you are known.